Hello, my darlings. Welcome back to the Sleepover podcast. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Pride Month. Depending on when you're listening, happy official day of summer. It's our official last episode of season 2. We're going on a summer break. As much as I love listening to podcasts all year round, I felt like a little summer hiatus is needed and necessary. Not gonna lie, although this is our official final episode, you might be hearing from me every now and then when I need a little yap session. So be sure to hit the follow or subscribe button so you don't miss any unofficial episodes or any news. But I usually do take summer off just to dive in to work on other projects. Last summer, I focused on cultivating new friendships and just going outside more. I feel like I haven't fully tapped into summer yet, probably because we just started getting consistently warm weather and corporate burnout is so real. It has been so real. I just realized if I'm not intentional about still doing the things I love to do once I clock out, I'm going to end up getting sucked into the dark web of corporate life and just making that my life. And that just doesn't work for me. So this summer, my goal is to make plans with friends, with family, with myself. I want to re-engage with my hobbies. I'm teaching myself how to sew again. Like I could sew, but the stitches are a little janky. They're a little crooked, but we gonna get it right. I also just want to be more intentional about styling outfits. Sometimes I get into a bad habit of throwing on some sweats, throwing on just some shorts and a tank top or shorts and a t-shirt and going to run my errands, going to the store. But I feel like if you look good, you feel good. And you should want to feel good. Feeling good within your body and yourself matters more than people thinking you're doing too much or you're overdressed just to go to the store or whatever. Put that shit on, sis. I promise you'll feel so much better. But aside from having a stylish summer, I want to have a well read summer. I miss books. I miss reading books. I miss writing books. But my ADHD brain at this point just cannot bring myself to consistently set aside time to sit and read. But I am an excellent listener. I love podcasts. I love listening to sermons. And recently, I discovered I love listening to books. I listened to and finished The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but first name is Paulo. The Alchemist is such an iconic book. I've heard about it for a while now. I just haven't brought myself to read it, but I read it. Technically, I listened to it, and I'm listening to it again. The first time I listened with my first time listener ears, but this time I'm listening for the gems that are getting dropped. I can fully understand why this book is so popular. It's good. It's really good, especially if you're a person on your spiritual walk or just trying to find a deeper meaning in your life, like so many of us are in our 20s and 30s and so on. And I don't want to say too much just in case anyone listening hasn't read the book, but essentially it's about this young shepherd that goes on a journey to find this treasure. And on this journey, he's also finding his, what they call in the book, a personal legend, which is pretty much like finding your purpose and like the deeper meaning of life. And some may argue that it's a coincidence, but the night before I randomly stumbled upon this audiobook on YouTube, I was doing Bible study and I was having a conversation with God, and I was just like, God, I feel different than the people around me. I've always had this need to know more and discover a deeper meaning of my life. And I just started thinking about how I don't feel like I'm meant to be a corporate girly. I'm too creative and passionate for a soul sucking 9 to 5 job. And I feel like God has had me on this journey for years, but I also feel like I'm going nowhere fast. And it's really tough to see my friends and peers appear to have this organized life and like they just have solid plans to get where they want to be. And I was talking to one of my friends and she was telling me about how she had plans to go back to school for X, Y, and Z. In that way, she'll make more money. But I don't always feel like I have that. I don't always feel like I have this perfectly laid out X, Y, and Z plan. Or maybe I do. But because my plan is so different than everyone else's around me, it's like I'm convincing myself that I don't actually have a plan. And of course, fear starts creeping in and self doubt starts sowing seeds in my mind. But to go back to The Alchemist, after reading it, it's like it all clicked and started to make sense. And I realized that I'm not actually behind my peers and I'm not actually stuck. I'm not buffering. My path just looks different because I'm taking the road less traveled. And when you're taking the road less traveled, it's gonna look like you're disorganized or falling behind everyone else. I think of it like this. The people in life that are only ever gonna work 9 to 5s look to be excelling because they took this cookie cutter route, and that is no shade. I promise that's no shade. I still think you can break generational curses and change the world around you by living the 9 to 5 life. But I do think the people that decide to take a different route have it harder because 9 times out of 10, there's no instructions. There's no blueprint. You are the blueprint. You are the one forging your own path. So as much as you want to be able to look to someone else before you, you can't because you are the map. I'm the map, 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 I'm the map. And not everyone is meant to be creative or take the road less traveled. Honestly, if that were the case, if everyone was meant to be an entrepreneur or follow their creative pursuits, we wouldn't have doctors, lawyers, teachers, etc. They are essential. We need them where they are and not behind the camera trying to be an influencer and telling me I need some skincare product that's going to break me out anyways. Your path and purpose is taking longer and feels harder because you're taking the road less traveled. I went hiking a couple weekends ago with one of my friends, and the paths that got a lot of foot traffic were more prominent. They were bigger and more obviously seen as a path, right? As opposed to the paths that weren't traveled on as much. They were still very much paths, but they weren't as wide. They were less pronounced. They took you a different route with different scenery that the more pronounced path would not take you. And you know I gotta throw a little Bible in there, so let's throw a little Bible in there. Matthew chapter 7 verses 13 through 14 in the NIV version says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." And just like in The Alchemist, again, don't want to say too much just in case anybody wants to read it and hasn't read it yet, the shepherd was told that very few people actually find their personal legend, their purpose, their deeper meaning in life. It may look like your friends are ahead of you because you're doing something different. Don't stress yourself out trying to figure out your next move that looks like everyone else's. And I'm talking to myself. Your next move isn't going to look like everyone else's when you're on the road less traveled. And I know from personal experience, that is scary. And if you're like me, you're hesitant and anxious to start because you want a clear path. You want a blueprint on how to do it, but you are the blueprint. You are the path maker in this scenario. There are no instructions for you because you're the instruction maker. So go forge your own path on the road less traveled, kid.